collected, analyze ya. Kalau kita kutip data, lepas tu kita tak pandai analyze, kita analyze benda lain, kita analyze benda yang tak bagi value kepada kita punya audience ya. Pun berlaku banyak. Ataupun kita dah analyze cantik dah, level analysis tu memang terror lah ya. Tetapi cara kita present pula tak ngam ya. Lah ni orang semua kalau buat infografik ya, kadang-kadang kita tengok apa ni infografik apa ni sampai tak ada storyline, selerak, serabut, bubuh semua ya, penggunaan font dan images yang tak sesuai. So instead of easy to the eyes, dia jadi serabut, dia jadi orang malas nak baca. So manusia ni dia ada satu spatial intelligence ya. Jadi perletakan images, the size tu matters most lah. Orang yang macam arkitek ke apa semua, dia belajar seni ni. Kita ni tak belajar, jadi kita kena belajar sendirilah macam mana nak make things better and easy at the eyes ya. So kita kena gabungkan sikit arts dengan science ya. Kadang-kadang bila kita ni background technical sangat, kita rasa nak umban semua benda dalam presentation slide kita. So at the end of the day, kita enak baca slide kan, letak semua tulisan-tulisan ya. So at the end of the day, orang yang slide kita, dia tak boleh appreciate. So presenting data with impact, not just to put things inside PowerPoint. It is to make sure that when your PowerPoints travel without you, people can still appreciate. Okay? So that is part of it lah. So today we're gonna have a look at this. Kelemahan kebanyakan managers bila buat presentation, dia tidak design dia punya presentation to based on objective yang dia nak capai. Dia tak design storyline tu based on objektif yang dia nak capai. So today we learn a few tips ya on how to do this, okay? Right, so hari ni kalau tengok kita cover this part. Basically we are done with our performance improvement internal consultant punya part. Yang modul di sini ni adalah advanced level lah. It is more for sustainability and building capability. Okay, yang leading team ni saya tak tahu if you need me to cover this or not. Nanti hujung saya tanya balik because I think adakah isu to lead team? Who here feels that you know he or she is yet to master on leading team? Dia macam cakap pun orang tak dengar kan? Ada tak siapa-siapa yang mengalami masalah tu? Yang if many would ask this, then I would want to cover this next day ya, hari lain lah. Okay, so tak apa, keep it with you. Lepas tu yang semalam punya modul, okay? You understand yesterday's module. Yesterday is about facilitation kan? You know where to use facilitation, and then the most important thing, you must facilitate to meet the objective of the session. So semua sama lah. Kat dalam OPI ni atau performance improvement ni, first thing first, objektif kena jelas. Lepas objektif jelas, you will get everything easy, okay? So today you will be able to create the storyline. Penting untuk consultant ni, bila dia nak present data, dia present the story, not the data sangat. So first thing first, sebelum buka data tu, bubuh graf, itu graf ini ya. First thing first, you must make sure the storyline meets the intention of your targets tu, target audience tu. Apa yang diorang nak? What's the objective?
Pilih soalan lah.
Ni tolong mute Zat,
Siapa tu?
Siapa tu? Okay, tak apa. Alright, kita kat rumah macam ni lah. Okay, and then Lepas kita dah able to create the right story and deliver the right message, maksudnya combo 3 lah ni. Get the right data, put it in the right presentation and present it well. 3 benda. And then you will be able to tell the story. Masa present tu, macam mana pula nak tell the story. So with impact means you must be able to use the right word and the right body language and the right tone of voice to make sure that pendengar tu feel it inside their heart, engagement tu. So sometimes storyline semua cantik tapi presenter tu kaku, kayu. Ya, jadi pun tak impact juga. Okay, ataupun presenter tu memang dia dulu duk membuat bahas kat sekolah ni dia lah champion. Tapi bila nak present pasal kerja, terus terabur dia punya storyline. And ada juga yang geng kayu-kayu ni, bila dia buat presentation slide, masa dia present, masa itulah dia baca semua dalam presentation slide dia. So this is a few things that we must orang kata balance it out. Bukan tak boleh baca langsung, boleh. Tapi macam mana cara nak baca, tu semua nanti kita akan belajar tips-tips sikit lah. Dia tak ada lah orang kata hardcore teori bab ni nak kena calculate ke apa, tak ada. Cuma that's the tips, yeah. Right, and then last but not least, we hope that by doing this well, you can capitalize the organization data. So you see companies that is based on research, yeah, and consulting macam McKinsey, Forbes, all those auditors kan, yang big 5 punya auditor semua tu. Bila diorang pandai menukar data kepada knowledge, kepada information, mereka boleh menjual. They can make money out of their data. Okay, tapi kalau kita ada data sahaja, kita tak pandai nak organize data tu, apatah lagi jual dalam a good storyline, memang tak ada harga. Data tu duduk tersimpan kat database. Kan? So this is not orang kata benda kecil-kecil ni. Yeah, this is huge, yeah, whereby you see companies that make $100 million, yeah, billions dollar just by selling data. Tapi diorang jual database ke? Diorang tak jual database tu sajalah, ya. They sell the insights, the knowledge that they have gained. So for consultants ni, sebab dia dah ada kemahiran untuk analisa, untuk put the logic tree apa semua, then we hope that when you are given a bunch of data, you know how to put it together to give information for the company to make the right decision at the right time. Okay, kalau kata lambat sangat, lembab sangat nak buat analisis ni, ambil masa sampai sebulan untuk just a simple analysis, then it's not valuable to the organisation anymore. It feels like ni apa ni, benda semalam, no? We should know this, you know, it should be live, you have to tell me earlier. Benda-benda tu berlaku lah. So executive, managers, ya, semua kena cekap benda ni lah. Kena cekap presenting the data so that management can make timely decision, informed decision and right decision. Macam tu baru best. Okay, now just look at this. This is academic sikit, ya. But what I want to stress here, you have data. Mana dapat data ni? In the first, on the second module kita bincang dah. How do you get data?
Interview.
Lagi?
Survey.
Survey lagi?
From finance.
Yes, from finance, from databases, yeah, from your customer activities and all. So you have like a lot of data. So kalau sekarang ni riuh bab big data tu, tambah je lah kat sini big data. Alright, means that you have many data. Macam contohnya you have a resume of one person, yeah, tetapi you ada millions of that resume. So macam mana you nak process? What can you process from that resume of a 1 million of data you have? So this what big data is, and ada kita kata data, kita kata ada metadata. Okay, so level-level advance kepada data tu banyak jenis juga, but I do not want to cover so intense bab-bab data ni semua, because I'm not also somebody who are certified in analytics ke apa, but as a consultant ni, you must at least know that data is available through some means, dan ada yang dah ada. So you have to make use of it, capitalize the data. Okay, the word here is capitalize. Okay, alright. So now, how to capitalize data? When you have data, you must turn it into information. What do you do? Yeah. So bila you start to contextualize your data, you put it in graph, or you present it in the pie chart, or you present it in any means, you are contextualizing it, you are categorizing it, you make some analytical, campur tolak kali bahagi, so you calculate and you condense it, you summarize it and you synthesize it, and it become information. Okay, so this is information ni pula nanti I will show you ada beberapa level, ya. And then most importantly, this information become knowledge. Kalau information tu tak become knowledge, dia tidaklah naik dia punya value dia tu. For example, you have satu data mengatakan makan gula tambah berat badan. Okay, so now you have 100 orang yang makan gula, dan you tengok semua 100 orang ni dia tambah berat badan. So you will see that the information that you get now, when it turn to a good thesis, it becomes a good knowledge. Tu perkataan thesis, hypothesis tu semua untuk mengubah information menjadi kasta knowledge. Okay, so hypothesis ni you kata, let me see if something happens if if we continue on taking sugar, kan? Then what you do is you go and check the information, and you go and check data, and you can make a thesis. So if you have a thesis, you already increase the nilai data tu kepada knowledge. Now, sometimes you will see that kalau
adakah information yang dia turn to knowledge tu, dia adalah satu bentuk conclusion daripada information tu?
Ya, boleh. Ya, conclusion, synthesize, tu semua knowledge lah tu. Ya, so maksudnya mudahlah orang faham kalau information ni dia berbentuk reaktif. Oh, dah makan gula, badan naik, so information. Tetapi knowledge pula dia menjadikan sesiapa yang makan gula berat badan naik. So it become knowledge lah. So kita ada action di situ. Dengan pengetahuan itu, kita nak makan gula ke tak nak makan gula. So that will become knowledge. So dia kata kat sini, knowledge is closely linked to doing and imply, know-how, understanding. So if you have information and you have something but you do not understand the action to do with it, then it's not level knowledge lagi. Yeah, knowledge is what is left after all the facts has been forgotten. Tu kata-kata pensyarah saya dulu, Dr. Arsyad di UTM. So you remember that knowledge is what is left after fact is forgotten. All the information data is forgotten. But there goes the things that you learn, you will remember. That's how knowledge can change behavior. Yeah, that's why kita pergi training. Supaya training tu memberi ilmu baru untuk kita ubah kita punya action. So you remember segitiga Rabe tu? Kan, RABE, ni nak ubah behavior, nak ubah experience, so that your action berubah, result berubah to get your ROI, maka this is the critical part. And ada satu level lagi, ni selalunya level orang tua-tua lah ni, orang yang ada pengalaman 20 tahun ke apa semua. Bila dia bercerita, dia tidak menggunakan lagi data atau apa-apa kan, atau knowledge ke, dia tak cite mana-mana, tapi dia hanya memberi nasihat. Okay, so macam mana dia boleh tahu knowledge atau teori tu terpakai ke tak melalui experience dia yang lama dah bergelumang dalam tu, so dia can go. So subject matter expert ni selalunya kalau dia lebih daripada 10 tahun dia dalam bidang yang sama, dia ada banyak wisdom. So dengan wisdom ni lah lagi cepat action can be taken. Okay? Maksudnya kalau orang ada wisdom ni, dia tak tunggu dah consultant my present apa semua. Dia boleh scan je intuitively, dia dah boleh bagi tahu ni mesti gagal. Okay? But sometimes bila kita muda lagi, kemudian kita pergi belajar terus dengan orang level wisdom. Itu pun agak bahaya juga kerana kita akan dapat conditioning otak kita yang tidak ada logic sequence. Contohnya lah, petua orang tua-tua. Kan? Petua orang tua-tua, apa contoh orang tua-tua punya petua selalu kata?
Jangan mandi malam.
Jangan mandi malam apa semua kan. So okay, kita ambil wisdom tu, kita jadikan dia satu panduan hidup. Tetapi sebenarnya kita tak faham kenapa jangan mandi malam. What happens? Boleh ke mandi malam? What is there is conditional formatting to that information? Maksudnya apakah condition yang mengatakan oh boleh je mandi malam. So sebab sometimes we learn too quickly from the wisdom, we lack of the logical sequence. Therefore, we feel that bila berlakunya sesuatu yang memerlukan kita based on information and analysis, kita tak mampu buat. So orang yang hanya berpandukan kepada dia punya intuition ataupun dia punya pengalaman dan tidak menggunakan research ability dan tidak menggunakan maklumat-maklumat terkini untuk membuat solution is deemed not to be credible, kecuali kita dah rambut uban ataupun dah bergedut lah. Hanya orang tua je boleh guna wisdom ni tanpa bicarakan tentang numbers. Yang lain, please. Okay, we are not that credible yet to be telling wisdom or theory ya. Macam banyaklah dulu saya ikut guru-guru kat Facebook ni, dia go level wisdom kan. Contohnya dia kata bukalah syarikat banyak-banyak kan supaya sebab ramai orang kaya mana ada satu syarikat, semua syarikat dia berfungsi macam ni. Saya pun sibuk lah pergi buka semua syarikat. At the end of the day yang saya lead satu syarikat aja, syarikat yang lain tu semua beban dan memberikan saya banyak masalah. So bahaya kita bila kita pergi dengar sifu ataupun level-level tok guru ni, dia mengajar wisdom, kita pula tidak ada keupayaan atau kita tidak pergi buat research, kita tak pergi check tengok macam mana dia boleh conclude sesuatu teori tu. Bahaya tu ya. So kalau kata kita dengar sesuatu teori, eloklah kita pergi research lagi kenapa dan dapat maklumat tu kita sendiri. Okey, pada saya benda yang tak payah question ni benda yang dalam Quran je lah. Sebab benda yang Quran tu kita yakin dan percaya, kita research sains kat mana pun kita akan jumpa dia punya makna dia kan. Tapi kalau setakat manusia ni, then the theory is deemed to be challenge. Okay, alright. So this is the part. So that is why it's important for us to have the skill to turn data into high impact presentation. We want to banyak orang kita nak impact dengan data ni. So kita tak boleh buat cincai-cincai. Kita tak boleh macam present dekat top management just nak cerita perbezaan, differences of numbers. Tak boleh. Kita kena go another level. So dalam era sekarang especially ya, you just imagine benda ni semua we've been having it as a very critical competency to all our managers, executive di dululah masa di Petronas dulu. So sekarang ni lagi ketara sebab kita di dalam era industri 4.0 yang mana-mana pun semua orang berceritakan tentang data. Just imagine kita adalah seorang eksekutif yang tidak pandai menjadikan data itu sebagai information, dan that's a shame. Alright, so this is sedikit sebanyak kita akan learn hari ni. So you look at data. Data ni kita gunakan dengan menjadikan knowledge dengan kebolehan kita analisis. Ya, bila kita analisis tu kita tengok macam-macam cara kita nak analyze kita punya data. So you will see here there are level of data analytics daripada deskriptif ke diagnostik ke prediktif and kepada preskriptif. So you see here daripada sini you boleh nampak dah deskriptif ni kita tukar dia daripada data kepada hanya kepada knowledge. Okay, tetapi diagnostik ni knowledge lebih critical. Ya, this is just what is happening. So kalau executive baru setahun 2 tahun masuk kerja atau young executive, we expect that when they come they can at least analyze data at this level. Setahun 2 tahun je. Okay, selepas 3 tahun dah kerja means you go through 3 cycle of year. We would want to see that you are able to diagnose. Why? Why? Ceritalah why. Okay? You have to be able to tell why, because your 3 kali melalui cycle yang sama bila mengutip data tu 3 times, we expect that at least you can already tell the cause and effect. Okay? So executive kalau dah 3 tahun kerja masih tak boleh masuk level diagnostik, then very sadly lah you will not deem as value adding to the company. Ya, kalau kita especially jangan kita lah, kalau kita measure diri kita hak duk kerja 10 tahun pun duk bagi descriptive level lagi. Kan? Nah, tu kalau kita, tapi what I'm saying is this is how the world value people with the data analysis skill lah. Lagi terror lagi daripada just diagnostic. Ingat tak kita kata kita ada analytical skill, lepas tu kita ada critical, lepas tu kita ada system. Kan? Analytical thinking, critical thinking and system thinking. So you will see that a better person or higher skill person will be able to predict what's going to happen. Ni lah level-level level-level consultants yang dirujuk ramai macam McKinsey, saya ni asyik sebut nama McKinsey je, banyak lagi konsultan lain saya lupa dah namanya tu kan. Okay, so there are all those well-known consultant, worldly well-known consultant able to do predictive, and when they do consulting, they do prescriptive. So saya cerita bila McKinsey kata kita kena guna influence model for us to manage change, mereka sudah prescribe dekat kita macam mana untuk kita do things better. So you see the level of knowledge capital that we are talking about. So yes, cikgu.
Cikgu tengok yang itu model naik. Remember that model.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So ingat kan? So you will see that's why bila kita membuat sesuatu macam Dr. Solhan, orang yang ada PhD, mereka nak buat sesuatu research tu, mereka kena tengok literature review. Literature review yang memang dah ada credibility, yang di present di platform-platform yang highly credible, for them to be able to diagnose and predict, ya. And to some point kalau dia orang buat post doctorate tu, harapnya they can be at this level of prescriptive lah. Maksudnya kita boleh tengok mereka ni boleh bagi recommendations, ya. So kadang-kadang kita risau juga kalau wisdom yang kita dapat tu tadi, dia adalah berdasarkan pengalaman satu orang. So dia tidak qualitatively legit to be generalized. Faham tak? So preskriptif ni ramai orang jump terus ke preskriptif sebab tu kita suka do and don'ts. Do and don'ts are preskriptive types of knowledge of analytics. Dia dah beritahu dah, jangan cangkung atas jamban. Tu dia dah level preskriptif dah. However, it is not as simple as that when it comes to giving the right knowledge capital for the company to increase more of its return. And increase profit. Tu paling best tu, ROI di dalam effectiveness of learning atas sekali if you are able to return to the the cost that you invest in your knowledge. So that is the 4 types of level of data analytics. So you will see that benda-benda preskriptif ni selalunya orang guna chart yang simple-simple sahaja, a simple charts. And then diagnostic ni lebih menceritakan tentang what happened, selalunya ni kita pakai logic tree. Okay, right. Deskriptif ni macam kita belajar, kita pakai apa? Waterfall chart. Ingat tak?
Yes.
Waterfall chart yang kita tengok.
Ada design.
Yes, correct. So kita guna waterfall chart, this is not bar chart. Okay, though it looks like a bar. Alright. Kemudian level prediktif, macam mana kita guna? So kalau ingat kepada OH ecosystem, you
Bising lah. Apa tu? Kaki ya?
Mute kan.
Kak Jas boleh mute semua Kak Jas. Lepas tu Kak Jas on Kak Jas.
Okay. Alright. There you go. Okay, you still hear me? Boleh buat tangan macam ni if you hear me?
Kita buat apa? Kita mulakan hafal daripada G 30.
Ada lagi?
Ada lagi?
Sibuk sungguh orang di house ni.
Okay, let me see how to do this. Sekejap. Macam mana entah.
Kau boleh pergi dekat manage participant tu, lepas tu mute all.
Tak, saya punya screen sekali dia hang. Okay, so I dah mute all tadi. Okay, right. I think this should be okay now. Should be okay, right? Okay, let me show you something else. Okay. Dalam kita punya are you able to see the screen now? Okay? Nampak screen? Nampak screen? Okay. This is what I'm going to give you later. This is called cheat sheet. CHEAT, cheating sheet ya. Kami dulu masa PowerPoint dia belum powerful lagi. Kami kena lukis sendiri all these diagram to convey data to impact the audience. So kita kena ada. So kalau lagi saya tunjukkanlah cara nak pakai design tu, tapi I'll give this. You see that there are so many ways for us to present our data. Okay, banyak cheat sheet kat sini yang you will use especially macam sales boleh guna yang macam combo pie dia gabungan kepada data, and then you can see stack column and then you can see line to show trending
Ada logo atas tu.
Itulah, tak apa, yang ni memang ni memang diinfakkan. Okay, and then ni bukan waterfall sangat, water climb kot, dia naik ke atas. Okay, tapi nanti saya akan bagilah this freebies ni. And this one contohnya bila kita nak tunjukkan sales, Solehin nak tunjukkan sales di camp agent tinggi kan, tunjuklah dalam bubble yang menunjukkan capacity sales tersebut dekat tempat, dekat area mana dekat dalam so we use more creativity on showing our data lah. Then there is comparison. Kalau kita nak compare agent A dengan agent B. Apakah benda-benda kita nak compare, gunakan butterfly bar and all. So banyak lagi cara yang kita boleh guna untuk kita present our data with more high impact. So this is just a snapshot. We'll come back to this later. Okay, what I'm gonna do now? Yeah.
Puan nak tanya,
Yeah.
kalau macam legal kan, saya biasa guna macam chronology of the case, chronology of why benda tu happen lah.
Yeah.
Maksud, saya just guna it's macam table and then ikut sequence of dates. Rasa tu on legal side cukup tak Puan kalau macam tu?
Tak cukup. Table ni is raw data. You must remember. Kalau you present table ni, dia macam the simplest it doesn't tell a story. You want to tell chronology of event, you can use satu garis. You can use banyak cara. Nanti saya akan tunjukkan cara-cara tu ya. Contohnya okey, silap. Okey, contohnya you want to show timeline. So you can use a good timeline here and then you can put your story here instead of put it in the table. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, and then tu satu. Ataupun you nak cerita macam mana benda tu dia menjadi makin teruk. So you ceritakan using the gunakan tangga-tangga yang menceritakan macam mana orang tu boleh masuk dalam parit ke, dalam tong sampah ke. So with this kind of image, you are showing in one snapshot the storyline, what is happening. Yeah. Kalau you guna dalam table tu, maksudnya you benda tu dalam bentuk data, you are not turning it into knowledge or you are not turning it into information. You are not turning it into information that can impact the audience. So you have to think of how to tell the story. Okay?
Puan.
Okay.
Puan.
Yeah.
Tanya sikit berkenaan dengan back to Fit punya question tadi. I believe that she's not talking about the data. She's talking about description of the case. Maksudnya bila you ada statement kan, you ada cerita dia tu. Yeah. So that's why I pun nak tanya juga berkenaan dengan how can you manage ataupun how can you present that in terms of graphic ni.
Yeah, that's what I just covered just now. The best part is to go on timeline, pergi timeline. Ini tarikh apa berlaku and this is what happened here, this is what happened here. You know, you describe it in a timeline punya presentation.
Betul.
So she got it lah ya.
Betul.
That's how you present it.
Dapat.
Okay, right. Okay, now there satu step lebih besar, ada satu approach yang lebih besar daripada step yang kita nak buat hari ni. This one I will not cover, but I just want to go through to you so that you know that dekat level analytics tu ataupun level data analysis tu dia ada lebih tinggi atau lebih kompleks method for you to use. Ni macam katalah level-level buat master ke PhD ke, they will use this approach lebih besar daripada yang kita duk buat hari-hari kat tempat kerja lah. They will set the objective of their research or presentation and then they start with hypothesis and then baru dia orang buat the research dan dapatlah semua maklumat yang dia perlu, baru siap dia punya tesis and then baru they go for the actions item and then what to do and then they will do the result reporting. So you will see here that they will iterate between this. So di dalam sebab setiap thesis atau maklumat, information or knowledge yang dia orang dapat daripada hasil probing yang dia orang buat tu, ingat tak Cuneiform framework? You remember Cuneiform framework? Dekat level complex dengan complicated, Dekat kompleks tu, cara dia is to probe. To probe maknanya variable-variable di dalam you punya research tu akan dicuba-cuba, diprobe dan melihat what is the effect. So kat sinilah berlakunya turning the knowledge tu from information data to the knowledge. So this is a higher level of it. We're not going to cover it. I just want you to know that there are higher level in presenting data ni. So kat kita ni cukup lah kalau kita guna 5 step ni untuk present dekat management hari-hari, okay? Our in daily ni cukuplah kita guna untuk ada storyline, ada visual, ada animation, and then we do dry runs. Maksudnya before you present tu, before Zoom, before apa, dry run dulu you punya slides ni. See that size dia okay ke, besar ke, serabut ke, then you can give a better presentation, ya. Alright, now you see here, step 1 tadi kita kata first thing first, purpose. Kan, decide on the purpose. Lepas tu dah ada purpose, kita kena fikir macam mana kita nak cerita benda ni. Create the storyline first before you massage or process the data. Sebab tanpa storyline yang betul, benda yang you pergi proses tu takutnya tak bermakna langsung kepada you punya audience. Benda lain yang audience nak dengar, benda lain yang you proses yang you dah shock sendiri, you kata kerja you dah siap. So this is what worry most dekat organisation, bila executive dengan managers dia memang hilang arah tujuan terus, ya. Bila dia present tu, oh nah, this is my report. Apa ni? What can we learn from here? You have not turned that data into information, apatah lagi itu knowledge. So you are not actually adding value to the organization. You just simply doing your work. So decide on a purpose first. Create storyline means decide exactly how you want to tell the stories. Is it going to be change story? Is it going to be just for your info? This is going to be crisis. So what? So you have to create the storyline. Kemudian baru add in visual. Ni, baru add in visual. Kat sini baru pilih chart type apa yang kita nak guna. Dan dia kena bersesuaian dengan you punya storyline. So nanti cheat sheet yang saya bagi tu, pilih. Bila dah ada storyline, you kena buat storyline tu dulu. Ya, what happen semua. Dah buat tu, dah agak-agak ni dalam 10 page of presentation. Then baru you setiap page ni baru you decide yang ni nak pakai apa, yang ni nak pakai apa, yang ni nak tulis saja, ini nak pakai table. So then you know that now you can create a faster and better presentation slides, okay? Jangan sesekali hantar bubuh dalam presentation slide, you punya Excel table yang you copy macam tu you paste, lepas tu halus nampak. Don't ever do that again. Ya, ni yang orang-orang yang datang ni, berapa orang semua ni yang participate hari ni? Let me see how many people. Kita ada 50 at this time. So 50 orang ni tolonglah never put full Excel tu you compress, you letak dalam PowerPoint, please, ya. Okay, at least you bring back that from today's lesson. Okay, now dah ada visual, dan visual you dah kena dengan storyline, baru you think of, do I need any animation effect tak? Animation effect ni bukanlah sangat kita nak kata yang kereta terbang apa tu, no, not that kind of effect. Tetapi kadang-kadang menggunakan effect can emphasize your storytelling. Maksudnya katalah ada data yang you nak highlight kan, so you want to deem it big or small, ya. So bila orang tengah boring-boring, bila dia tengok animation tu dia macam ya. So especially orang yang visual. So kita tahu kita punya audience ni kan ada 3 jenis. Jenis audio, visual and kinesthetic. Orang ya. So orang yang kinesthetic ni, you kena guna body language. Ya, you kena make them move. Tapi orang yang guna visual ni, you punya presentation slide must be good to attract their attention. Orang yang audio ni tak apa, dia kadang-kadang tengok bawah otak telinga dia dengar. Okay, tapi but then because you do not know who is who inside your room, might as well you cover all three. Okay, right, dah habis semua ni, then you dry run before you conduct the presentation. So we'll cover all this in a minute. Okay, purpose first, objective. Tengok type of proposal, type of presentation ni, you nak propose ke, you nak update ke, you nak town hall punya style ke, you nak buat motivation ke, or it's for conference, sharing knowledge, sharing findings for conference. So you see contoh ni, this is not a comprehensive ya. This is just example sahaja. This is just example of purpose. Banyak lagi purpose lain which you can study first. How do people present this? Am I giving a TED talk here? If TED talk, how many slides can I use? Satu. You have one slide that you have to talk for 30 minutes or 1 hour. Satu slide saja. Macam mana nak letak satu slide tu? So that's TED talk, right? Okay. Then you will see here, dulu ni we used to train kementerian ni on how to use PowerPoint. Simple saja training dia tu ya, cara-cara nak lukis gambar apa semua, not presentation with impact pun, hanya macam mana nak guna PowerPoint je dia punya kelas tu. But we find out that from the studies that kalau proposal kan kena ada teks tu kena ada ya. Bukan semua presentation slide tak perlu teks, ada yang perlu, especially proposal. Maksud kata key leading statement ni namanya lead in statement. Key lead in statement. You kena betul-betul padat ya, to make sure that you are in a state of proposing. Okay. Bila you nak update data seperti sales, what is the sales performance look like ya, you are going to use more of this. Okay. And if you are town hall or doing motivation, you kena guna gambar, images. And gambar yang you guna ni kena pula gambar yang selokal yang boleh. Jangan ambil gambar Mak Saleh, lepas tu kita guna as our background. Contohnya team marketing team creative content. Saya pun lupa nak beritahu dekat kitanya kawan-kawan Kun Anta apa semua. Bila kita buat the video tu, elakkan ambil gambar Mak Saleh. Banyak gambar Melayu ada. So orang gambar lokal lah, tak kira lah Melayu ke apa, tapi gambar dalam negara kita supaya people can relate. You are motivating people, you are talking to the audience, large group town hall and motivation. Must use image yang dekat dengan you punya audience. Jangan guna image yang alien. Yes.
I need to add in one point, very important one, which is kita punya culture ni. That's very very sensitive. Yang ada dulu pernah consultant yang tunjuk gambar-gambar yang tak patut syariah. Very very important lah, tunjuk gambar yang ni sikit lah.
Betul.
Down
ya, sungguh ya. Yang tu kita punya afiat standard lah. Gambar mesti kena patuh syariah. Ni memang dia orang letak gambar lelaki semua yang handsome semua. Tetapi Mak Saleh lah, orang Turki lah, come on lah, orang Melayu ada tak? Ambil je gambar Imran tu, ada Fatih tu, Ayub tu, yang handsome tu. Tu Faidi tu yang Mahat yang laku sangat tu.
Ada dua mak bunga.
Okay, so what I'm saying is the images you use must be close to your audience. Yeah.
Kalau gambar kartun orang lidi apa semua? Gambar Rashid.
Okay. Yes, itu adalah kreatif. Ya. Kreatif ni dia boleh asalkan satu set tu guna yang sama. Macam saya pakai ni kat belakang Kak Jas ni kan, nampak? It's just for me to use intentionally to mellow down the seriousness of the topic. Sebab muka ni memang muka pecah rumah garang. So I need to have something to make people feel orang kata apa, safe when they are with me. However, dalam presentation to that specific target audience, the best is to use the most realistic image. Tu dia punya tips lah, okay? Kalau and because kita takut pakai gambar kartun ni semua, kalau kat situ orang yang umur 50 ke apa semua, dia tak boleh relate. Dia rasa insulted ada.
Boleh.
Okay lah. Now standard orang tua-tua ni 70. Selagi tak sampai 70 dia kira okey lagi. Dia kira boleh layan kartun. But that's the tips lah ya. When you go for the audience, gunakan image yang paling boleh di-related. And then for conference, people want to look at data. People want to look at your research finding. Gunakanlah lebih banyak numbers and the graph. Tapi numbers pun bukan nak tulis kecil-kecil. Numbers tu kena tulis with high impact. And I'll show you some example on that. Instructional kena banyak guna image ya. Ini macam guna orang lidi tu kan? Tak. It has to show, kalau boleh tunjukkan orang tu buat supaya di dalam audience you punya mind, yes, if he can do it, if she can do it, I can do it too. So dia boleh relatekan benda tu. Tapi kalau you guna image Captain America ke Batman ke, audience tu kata Batman boleh buat macam ni. Aku bukan Batman. Kan? So you have to choose wisely. So that's a little bit tips on that. Wah, ada Karunisa. Okay, tak apa. Alright, so now dah purpose tu, dah clear dah purpose tu. Ini yang paling penting dalam memastikan is high impact is creating the storyline. Ingat kan saya kata tadi, di dalam slides you tu, you kena create storyline dulu. Kena create storyline dulu macam mana jalan cerita dia sebelum you tambah any images dekat dalam you punya slide. Jangan pergi cari grafik dulu, jangan cari information dulu sebelum buat storyline. Kita takut you punya storyline campur aduk because you want to push the information. Okay, get that? The tips is storyline first, then the information. Okay, kalau information tu tidak disusun dengan storyline, dia tidak menjadi knowledge, apatah lagi nak jadi naik sampai wisdom. Okay, kisah-kisah Nabi kita belajar, kisah-kisah semua yang kita belajar tu yang menjadikan kita tertarik dengan pengajaran tu. Macam kalau kita tengok Ustaz punya speech kan, dia cerita kisah-kisah macam Ustaz Zahir cerita kisah. Bila dia cerita kisah tu, baru dia sebut fakta, baru kita rasa related. Tapi kalau kita push fakta dulu, boleh berselerak dia punya storyline. So that is killer number one. Failure dia kalau your storyline tak make sense. So selepas you present, you punya audience tanya, okay, so so dia tanya macam tu lah. So bila you punya audience tak boleh grasp the idea of how or what you want to tell, especially what you want to tell, then they lost your concentration. You only have 7 seconds to make your best impression. The 7 seconds is what you pitch to make people understand what are you going to do for the rest of that 30 minutes. So kalau you tak kill that 7 second secepat mungkin, then you are out of league lah. Maksudnya dia dah buka laptop, dia buka dia punya WhatsApp, main apa semua, then you are league. You are gonna face trouble in trying to call their attention. Okay, let's look at this one method. Method ni namanya pyramid. Okay, So the governing thoughts, yeah, and the storyline must be planned first. What message that you want to tell at the end of the day? What do you want the audience to take action? Is it to approve your proposal? Is it to give a big thought about what you just presented? Yeah. Do you want them to change any behavior? Do you want them to do anything for you or for themselves? So this is going to be the storyline of what you need to start to decide. So it is always using the governing thoughts. Whether you want to summarize or you want to synthesize, you have to plan it well. Okay, the documents, kalau macam kita kata document structure ni, dia ada chapters, subchapters kan, dia ada semua ni. So dalam presentation kita pun dia bergerak begitu juga. Tajuk besar, kemudian tajuk kecil, dan kemudian you wrap it up and then tell them what you want them to do. Okay, that's one point. So ada cara untuk buat storyline. Okay, pertama sekali tengok balik purpose. Purpose you apa? You katalah you nak buat proposal. Asking people to change, transform katakan, or you just want to give them knowledge, to show instruction how to, so refer back to the purpose. Untuk buat storyline, artnya, ya, seninya adalah to design the emotional reaction that you want your audience to have. Tengok mana ada cerita pasal graf data pun kat sini kan. Dia cerita emotional reaction. For example, you want people to transform. Apa kata Kotter? What did Kotter say in 8 change by Kotter? Number 1 is create sense of urgency. So bila you nak kena create sense of urgency di dalam presentation pack you, what kind of emotions that you want the audience to have? You mesti nak mereka terkejut lah kan? Kalau dia orang tak terkejut, tak ada sense of urgency lah. So you use words like our platform is burning. We have to change. Ya? Ataupun kita kata our cheese. Somebody has stolen our cheese. Kan? Ni cerita macam mana? Yes, ya. Kalau setakat move tu dia tak rasa sangat dia punya impact tu. Kalau kata curi ke, ya, kita kata terbakar ke, then itu lebih create sense. So you design the emotional reaction first dalam you punya storyline. You plan. Mula-mula you nak bagi mereka sedih dulu ke, atau terus you nak bagi mereka bersemangat, kemudian you bagi fakta. Ya ni. So ada teknik di sini, contohnya freeze, unfreeze and freeze lah. Tu pun boleh guna untuk design your emotion. Okay, ataupun you design, okay, kat sini dia kena sedih, kat sini dia kena recover, kat sini dia rasa dia bersemangat, maka kat sini I will close this presentation and bring them to march. So kalau you tengok filem macam Braveheart, pernah tengok Braveheart tak?
Yes.
Okay lah, kalau golongan yang 40s and above ni, saya rasa mereka kenal kot Braveheart. Masa Wallace tu tengah bagi briefing dekat satu angkatan tentera mereka nak berlawan tu, dia gunakan storyline macam tu. Why? Ya? Lepas tu dia naikkan, dia cerita kesedihan, apakah yang kita terasa hingga kita perlu bangkit. Lepas tu dah start bangkit tu, dia build semangat tu, baru dia orang buat war cry and then diorang terus march. So that is the design emotion. Dalam presentation you pun, seboring-boring maklumat yang you nak bagi tu pun, you have to create emotion. Itu baru jadi with impact. Kalau tak ada emotion kepada audience doesn't feel any different, buatlah canggih macam mana pun, infografik macam mana pun, beli image mahal macam mana pun, that doesn't work if the emotion is not touch. Okay, so that's a very important. Okay, next, baru prepare key leading statement, ya, ataupun asal usul dia, perkataan dia bukan leading statement, lead in. Ya, yang ni asal usul dia adalah lead in. Macam mana you bawa audience you, lead the audience to the things that you want to tell the story. Kemudian bila you dah masukkan lead in statement ni, lepas tu you kena letak source of information ni, data mana you guna, then baru you nak masukkan kat dalam sini. Dan bila you dah ada semua ni, you transfer it to Post-it note and tell your story before you even open your PowerPoint. Ya? Kecuali you dah memang cekap buat PowerPoint ni satu kalau kerja you memang hari-hari you buat presentation slide, tak apalah. But if you seldom give presentation, guna dulu Post-it note to design your story. Ya, I will show this. Contohnya tadi kan emotional reaction. Kalau you dah draw you punya emotional you punya dah emotional tu because kat sini you want people to change kan? You nak people to change. Kat sini you nak berlaku macam mana? You nak ikut apa teori tu tak ingat tu, yang change teori tu Cobbler dah, yang ada you know you are bargaining, you are accepting, you are outperform, so you want to follow that emotion punya reaction pun boleh, but you got to check with what do you want. Kalau you nak suruh orang komen je, tak payahlah nak emosi sangat, keep it low. Tapi kalau you want people to accept and change, you have to make it higher impact. Kalau you want to make it instruct, you must make it sharp. So these are the things that you want. So ada contoh-contoh kat dalam ni lah. Ni pun not a theory, just orang kata share of practices. Contohnya nak buat storylining to approve. Ni nak hantar bajet. Kita kata puan saya nak minta bajet untuk untuk beli software, harga dia 5,000 katakan. So how do you present that? Okay, you must tell why you need the budget, so that it get approved. So you have to start with the gap. Ada what is your current state ni sebenarnya you punya SA. Okay, and then what do you wish to get? Your desired state. Okay, and then what's your plan? Okay, and then plan ni, then you kena bagi tahu lah, therefore this plan will need certain amount of budget, then you minta approval. So you tengok 7 pages enough for you to share your proposal. 7 pages tu termasuk title dengan thank you. So tinggal berapa page? 5 lah kan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is how effective your presentation is. And you tengok dia punya emotion. Mula dia build interest logic, build excitement to buy in, baru dapat approval. Nampak macam kayu je presentation ni. Tapi di dalamnya ada emotion built in. Understand that? So lepas kita dah buat so sebab kalau kita buat presentation kita dengan storyline dulu, kita boleh gabung keperluan emosi dan logik bersama-sama. Then you will have a better chance to impact the people that you want to suruh mereka take the action. Okay, storyline untuk update. You are in a project, VIPC. Kita buat task force. So kita nak update je what's happening. Okay. So you kena cerita dulu project overview. So currently overall progress. What is the analysis from the target versus actual? And what is the impact dengan gap ni? And what is your mitigation plan? So you bagi tahu ada intervention ke tak? So tengok mudah aja. Dalam 4-5 muka surat, you are done updating with everything inside. Tu storyline dia. Emotion dia. Mula-mula cerita bigger picture dulu. Project overview. Situational assessment juga dia pun lebih kurang. And then cerita impact ni. Impact kepada gap ni. Sebab you nak take intervention. So you kena cerita impact ni. So impact tu apa emosi dia? Adakah kita akan untung 10 kali ganda, ataupun emotion dia kalau kita tak buat 70% kerugian. So the emotion is there, and then baru you bagi cadangan you nak buat apa. Okay, so storyline, semuanya tentang storyline. Skill-skill yang you belajar the last 6 days, 7 days tu, semuanya untuk you buat the right storyline. Okay, untuk komen ataupun kita nak bagi komen pun ada storyline. Kita nak suggest idea, orang lain dah present pumpang kan. So you macam Puan Jas, do you have any comment? You pun kan? You pun kata, okay, the objective of my input for all of us to improve, so that whenever we do things, we will not repeat our mistake in the past. So I hope this will give you benefit to do better in the future. So this is what we have. Why not you do this? Why not you do that? And see what happen. Okay, so leader bila dia nak menegur atau dia nak bagi suggestion, atau dalam meeting kita kan, kita nak bagi suggestion untuk tak nampak kita ni macam nak gaduh dengan orang, cari pasal dengan orang, dia ada lead in dia, inilah lead in dia. Okay, so tengok sini. You bagi tahu what is in it for me tu, bukan you lah, for the audience. If you contribute this objective, okay? So why are you interested? And then contribution. So you see the emotional goes in like that, okay? So then this is your storyline. Yang ini tak payah 7 pages kot. Yang ni 5 minit pun kalau you hafal dah dia punya teknik ni, then it should be faster. Storylining to instruct. Objective statement. Why do you need this? What is in it for you? Ini sangat particular for generasi huruf-huruf selepas Z ni, selepas X ni. Selepas pada generasi X, huruf apa yang ada selepas tu very important for you to put in what is it for them. And then you kena cerita option. This is how you solve problem. There are 7 types of method to solve your problem. But we're going to use only one today. Tomorrow, we learn another one. So you are telling your audience that options of solutions. So dalam level knowledge, you are not prescribing atau menjadikan SOP. You memberi knowledge. So you have to share the other practices as well. And then you acknowledgement yang whatever we are doing, I will help you. So you see that reaction you, what is in it for me, how do you increase the interest of people. So macam contohnya macam my presentation pack, kalau you tengok hari-hari I will go to this page to tell the connection between what you're going to learn and how you're going to apply it. So this is orang kata the story line that I choose in our training lah. So everything is being designed based on the objective. Okay, storylining to instruct change. So nampak tak dia punya penggunaan font, color dan juga dia punya urgency. Change is hard. 70% of change effort fail. So you create a sense of urgency that if I don't change the right way, I'm going to be part of the statistics. That's how you use your presentation to create urgency. Okay, so this is example and then you see that dalam buku Accelerating Change by John P. Cotter ni, dia menggunakan different warna, different font dan penggunaan image dia, sebab dia guna apa ni? Apakah binatang ni? Penguin. Apakah cerita yang dia nak cerita ni? Cerita yang dia nak guna adalah ice is melting kan? Sebab sebab penguin ni duduk dekat kutub. Okay, So dia guna image-image yang bersesuaian dengan jalan cerita dia. Okay. So ni contoh-contoh lah ya. So nampak tak? Satu slide hanya satu sahaja message. Kalau message ni adalah yang you want to use as you punya to impact your storyline lah. Okay, so ni contoh-contoh kat sini ya. Alright, so now masuklah ke using visual. Okay, dah ada storyline. Baru nak masuk visual. Okay, baru nak tengok. Nak pakai graf ke, nak pakai emote, nak pakai apa-apa sajalah ya. So now you choose what images you want to put that can convey the same message with your lead-in statement. Jangan lead-in statement tulis lain, tata graf tak apa-apa. Graf cerita boleh lain, highlight pula kat graf benda tu yang tak kaitan dengan lead-in. Itu you dah bagi ada contradict di dalam diorang punya otak. Dia panggil cognitive dissonance sikit. Macam ini cerita pasal lain tajuk ni, kenapa gambar benda lain lah. So banyak juga saya tengok suicidal punya attempt yang dah lah lead in tu payah lah nak jumpa. Selalunya diorang suka letak title. Contohnya this is the graph title. So kita consultant tak pakai title of the slide kita pakai lead in statement. Okay, lead in statement supaya bila kita present, kita terbaca sikit lead in statement kita dah ingat dah apa yang kita nak sampaikan. So that is important. And if our PowerPoints travel without us, orang baca, orang faham apa kita nak sampaikan. So now your PowerPoint would be useful for others even though you are not around. Okay. So now barulah kita nak pakai ya. So you will see here ada 3 jenis ni. Bila is narrative, bila you want to explain, you have to narrate the data. Bila you want to enlighten, you want to visual the data. Tapi bila you nak engage, you narrate the video. Nampak tak betapa susahnya nak buat presentation yang bagus ni. Tapi dengan beberapa tips ni harap dapatlah ingat sebersikit bila kita nak guna data tu macam mana. So Solihin, biar team, please use the right visual untuk the right insights that you want to tell the story. Okay, orang lain saya tak risau sangat, tapi team internal consultant kita ni, business intelligence ni, dia orang mesti pandai buat this insights. So insights yang nak kena buat ni kena menggunakan the image yang betul, ya, for the right objective. So if you just want to explain, bolehlah pakai narrative and data. Tapi if you want to engage, you kena narrative and visual. Ni kat sini ni infografik ni sangat penting lah. Tapi semenjak 2 menjak ni kita memang ada death by infografik sangat. Infografik terpapa tu humban semua di dalam satu and you are tiring the brain. Okay, so make sure kita tahu dan guna teknik yang betul untuk mencapai objektif yang betul. Okay, alright. So dia tidaklah ada hard teori kena berapa muka surat ke, 1 page ke apa, dia tak ada. Dia kena bersesuaian dengan objektif. Okay. Anybody want to ask question on this? Quite direct kan? Okay. Alright, tengok ni. Ni dulu-dululah.
Cuk, kejap Puan Jas.
Ya.
Saya nak minta excuse sekejap sebab saya nak jadi hosting untuk training JD sekejap lagi dan 9.45 ni. So nak minta diri dululah.
Okay, alright.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Assalamualaikum.
Dalam. Okay, so tengok ni. Dulu-dulu kita minat sangat humban semua benda, nak cerita di dalam 1 page, last tak boleh ya. So this orang kata apa, death by PowerPoint. Kena baca tak artikel ni? Okay, pergi carilah kat Google death by PowerPoint. So sampaikan ada orang yang anti sangat dengan PowerPoint padahal dia tak pandai guna PowerPoint. Macam orang anti Zoom lah, padahal dia tak tahu macam mana nak secure dia punya security. Dan instead of attacking the penggodam tu, the scammers and the hackers, dia attack Zoom. Bijak tak orang ni? Tak tahulah apa nak jadi. Okay, anyway, sambungan. This is not a good example, so you can see lah ya. If you cram everything inside one page, memang you akan menarik perhatian audience you satu saat. Lepas tu mereka akan disengage. Okay. So the narrative, ingat tadi? Ya, yang segitiga kita kata tadi tu, bila you nak build story, ya, you nak choose which image. So you nak pakai macam ni ke, macam ni ke, macam ni ke, macam ni ke. Oh, for the non-quantitative, what are you sharing? Okay, so you have many. Yang ni I akan bagi lagi cheat sheet lah, ataupun mudahnya kita pakai je chat ni. Nampak tak? Ni. PowerPoint yang mudahnya dia ada smart art dengan chat ni. Tu yang mudah tu. Janganlah kita duk lukis sendiri, bodoh, sebab bila kita tukar data, nanti semua kita kena tukar manually, then you will upset the whole graphic. You akan buang masa duk betulkan sikit. So nak guna PowerPoint ni pun banyak trik-trik yang you kena belajar. Macam mana nak bagi sama level, nak bagi sama size supaya cepat you buat kerja. Yeah, so you can basically kalau you dah hafal semua storyline ni kan. Storyline ni semua you get it You bos kata okay cepat present sediakan proposal for me. I need to present this in half an hour. The consultant settle. Bila baca lead in story tu dah logical sequence, then you win 60%, 70% already the presentation. Tapi kalau lead in tu tak in sequence logic dan tidak ada emotion built in, susah you nak cover dengan image ke graph ke banyak-banyak. Okay, so and using the right color scheme. Bila you guna you punya PowerPoint, dia ada color scheme yang you boleh tengok So you tengok color scheme ni. Color scheme ni maksudnya kalau you pilih mana-mana color scheme ni ikut garisan dia, itu adalah set color tersebut. Okay? Alright, itu adalah set color tersebut. Sorry ada bunyi orang menumis pula kat dapur. Okay. Macam mana kan? Work from home lah sangat kan?
Terus lapar.
Rumah kecil. Okay. Sekejap. Alright.
Tamat tak keluar bau.
Kak Jas pesan aku tu Kak Jas tutup dapur gas ke?
Orang rumah rajin.
That creates emotion, you know.
Yeah? Yes, Mak
Ada emotion dekat situ.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Betul-betul kinestetik Ni presentation sampai engage bau tu lah.
Engaging as well.
Perut terus lapar.
Itulah kan orang kata cakap work from home ni senang lah. Kita yang duduk kat bandar ni, rumah dah sama besar dengan burung merpati. Burung nak duduk dalam tu, kita pun nak kerja dalam tu. Okay, sambungan So first, bila pakai PowerPoint, pandai-pandailah pilih the colour scheme. Jangan berselerak-lerak ambil merata-rata macam tu. Huduh jadi colour scheme-nya. So pilih the colour scheme. And ada colour emotion guide, yang ni you boleh Google pun. You tengok kalau you nak bagi semangat, optimism, excitement, bold, transformation, selalunya guna red colour ya. Bila kita motivate ataupun cerita kisah-kisah agama semua bagus, kita guna trust ya. And we are talking about ideas, kita guna creative. So these are the colour scheme yang digunakan, which you can Google lah ya. Maklumat-maklumat ni semua ada dalam Google. Kadang-kadang dia bukan subjek kita. Contohnya kita ni accountant kan, mana nak belajar pasal art ni, tak ada siapa nak masukkan benda ni dalam silibus kita. Tapi bila kita kerja, kita kena present company financial status. Kalau kita nak present company financial status, warna apa yang paling sesuai kita nak guna? Of course the trust, the integrity. So banyaklah guna warna biru, okay? Tapi bila kita marketing team, marketing you nak present dekat NGO, kita punya campaign for Raya and Ramadan. So what would be the theme color that you want to use for your presentation?
Red color.
Merah. Orange. Red.
Orange, red. So you see, you use that. So that is why bila kita buat satu corporate corporate PowerPoint Fitri, kalau kita guna satu corporate PowerPoint, corporate design tu tak sesuai untuk semua keadaan. Jadi kalau kita nak buat satu standard kepada syarikat, kita kena bagi tahu standard ni guna untuk reporting, standard ni guna untuk communicating, standard marketing boleh guna macam ni, this is the guideline. Okay, so instead of kita susah payah duk buat awal larat lah apa semua dalam presentation pack kita tu, might as well kita bagi the standard guideline supaya orang boleh berkreatif. Okay,
Noted Pan.
Right. Okay, thanks. Tetapi one thing for sure, di dalam era semuanya online ni, especially COVID ni, minimize your file size. Meaning images yang pakailah yang paling simple, minimalist is good, because kita tak nak message dalam tu 5 muka surat, setiap gambar tu 10 meg, jadi file tu jadi 50 meg. Buka-buka 5 page je. So use that as well. So you punya visual tu can pick up the size of your presentation. Yeah. So you have to
Reporter ni time satu slide macam mana nak letak semua info dalam tu.
Jayuk.
Aku mute kan. Okay, got it? Okay, right. Okay, so now ni nak guna the emphasize of of your animate Ada bahagian kena emphasize lah, tapi kalau boleh minimize kan emphasize tu, janganlah buat dia terbang pusing-pusing melayang merata tu, old fashion sangat lah. And sound tu tak payah dah. Tahun 2020 presentation kita tak perlu bunyi-bunyi roket ke apa semua dah ya. Tu kita tinggalkan lah.
90-an tu.
Yes.
Dah 90-an dulu pakai.
Okay, so tengok you can just use this to emphasize you punya presentation kan. This is just the usage of that lah. Alah, ini semua tak impresif pun. Tapi
dah Ramadan tak boleh tunjuk ni.
Just want to show how you can use this. Okay, kalau dalam kelas kita akan ajar macam mana nak buat kereta api ni bergerak, just guna PowerPoint je, animation. Okay, so tak payahlah benda ni semua. Dalam minimalist ni, benda-benda macam ni semua dah tak ada value sangat dah ya. Dia lebih value kepada data tu, presenting data tu tadi. Okay. Alright, now animating the slideshow pun boleh. Katalah you punya presentation tu later you want to have others to look, you can animate it and then record it, semua tu boleh lah ya. Okay, now last dah, habis dah, step kelima is the dry run. So presenter yang bagus, sebelum dia present dalam meeting, dia pergi check dah cord apa pakai, kabel apa pakai, color scheme yang keluar dekat laptop dia sama tak dengan projector tu. Jangan macam pergi-pergi, tak nampak lah, kenapa warna dia lain. Tu kira amatur lah, tak pergi check apa semua we are okay sebab Olive House ni lenient banyak bab-bab ni. Kalau kena syarikat yang dia tak boleh waste time ya, maksudnya klik mesti jalan, dan sakit lah kalau kita tak prepare, kita tak pergi try kita punya presentation slide tu, tak tahu tak adalah, saya tak ada kabel ni, tak bawa pula tu, dah laptop dia pakai kabel pelik, dia tak bawa pula tu yang ada RGB kabel, semua tu lame, okay, lame sangat. Lepas tu tak boleh pakai, kena buat kat thumb drive tu tak boleh. Come on. Kan? Tak menarik sangat drama tu. Tak termasuk di dalam presentation. Okay. So the sixth sense, ya, kita dah cerita dah benda ni masa facilitation, ya, and then presenting with impact, how you deliver, use the right chart and the storylining. Ni je. To present with impact. Kalau TED Talk pun ini gak dia punya basics dia. You want to deliver credible and convincing. You want to storyline, convince and structured. You want to use chart design which clearly exhibits the information. Okay, you will see that visual impression is 55%, your voice is 38%, your content 7%. You spend so much time to prepare your PowerPoint and then it's just 7%. So when you present your body language, you talk small ball, big ball, throwing it. So that's why I emphasize gambar poster. Gambar poster untuk kita guna untuk marketing speaker kita, tak boleh gambar pasport. Tak boleh gambar tangan terputus. Dia kena tunjuk the right body language sebab 55% is visual impression. If you fail at visual impression, memang kalah lah. Memang poster tu pun orang tak nak tengok lah, macam tak menarik langsung. Kenapa tangan dia putus? So you know, so that's why choosing the right image in is very important in this. Okay. Alright, for component, okay, voice. Ada kita yang jarang-jarang buat presentation dalam hidup dia. Voice dia suka vibrato. So kalau kita executive managers, kita kena impact the top management atau klien kita semasa present, suara kita mesti steady. Macam mana nak bagi suara kita steady? Kita kena selalu buat practice. Practice. Kalau kita baca Quran, baca kuat sikit supaya otot kita steady. Kita vibrate ni sebab otot kita tak steady, otot kerongkong apa ni semua kan. Well, I'm not a
sign of nervousness tu.
Yes, I'm not a subject matter expert in menyanyi ke apa, but you know,
we don't expect you to sing also, please don't.
But
nyanyi hari-hari.
The ability for you to speak at different tone and emphasize when needed to be emphasized or to attract attention is very key for you to engage. Kadang-kadang you punya slide out sangat. You prepare benda lain, tata management expect you to present benda lain. Macam mana? So you have to be thinking on your feet and use everything else you have, which is yourself. Slide pun tak boleh pakai dah sebab slide tu you prepare untuk different topic. Tak tengok they expect you differently. So you have to think on your feet and you have to use whatever you have. Control your voice. Always try to do bubbling and pernafasan. Kadang-kadang semput. Kadang-kadang sesema. Tak fit sangat presenter tu. Tak present lagi, dia dah memang out dah. Okay, so that's very important how your body language in this area. Okay, and then
can I share one tip untuk apa ni?
Sure. Yes, go ahead.
This is in 90s. I was first this one I had and practice it by this trainer. Dia kata listen to your voice. When you do your presentation, you listen to your voice. Dia kata if you like what you hear, then it's okay. If you don't like what you hear yourself, then you better change and do something about it. So this is a practice before that. Or dry run, you said that just now, is very important. Listen to your voice.
Jangan cincai. Dan jangan ingat, you spend sehingga minit terakhir sebelum presentation, preparing your slide will help you. Kan, dalam meeting kadang-kadang kan, bawa laptop, kawan-kawan duk present, you duk sibuk buat you punya slide. Masa you present, you terus off tangent, you langsung tak follow the argument and the tema of the meeting sebab you tak dengar dan you tak perhati apa orang lain cakap. You are not listening and connecting your presentation with the rest. Out you go. You ingat that last 30 minutes hurdle tu masa dalam meeting tu orang lain tengah present, you pun sibuk buat kerja kan. Lepas tu you pun present. dah lah presentation tu pun out. Sebab apa? Kelang kabut buat, not thought through, tak ada storyline. Memang missing pula terus tema dia dengan orang lain. Itu memang suicidal lah. Okay, 3 kali buat kesalahan macam tu, you are just a number in the organisation. Once you are just a number in your organisation, you tahulah apa kesan dia. So try to do your best. Make your homework earlier. Dry run. Okay. Voice, posture, body posture, audience interaction. Always ask. Always look at the key person inside the meeting. Bukan tengok dekat your favourite people who, you know, you have some favourite fan kan, yang yes Ayub, yes, yeah, be like Ayub. Look at the people who are going to pass or fail your presentation. Try to engage dia punya attention. Gesture. Okay, gesture. Tangan dalam poket, ya. Macam my husband selalu kata, no, avoid, you know, putting hands on your face. Duk lap apa, peluh kan. Kat rumah kan tak ada aircon. Jadi dia berpeluh-peluh kan. So you have to avoid a lot of that while you are presenting, ya. So there's a lot of things that we have to improve ourselves. Dah buat kerja ni 15 tahun, 20 tahun pun ada je benda yang kita kena improve. Therefore be open to feedback lah, ya. Alright, so voice, volume, intonation, speech, choice of word, posture, gesture, audience interactions must all go with that, okay? So that's all, end of module 07. So kita dah habis sebenarnya bahagian becoming the internal consultant ni.